in teaching for 13-14 years now. The topic which we are going to discuss today, I don't have any expertise and I don't have thorough knowledge as well. But me and Ranjit sir, we discussed together that let us introduce this topic before the young minds. They have a lot of things to explore. Now, and the purpose is the young researchers or would-be researchers, my students, my scholars are also there, yet to register their topic. If they can get some idea, or if they can get some lights on this, or if they can find any scope for future research. Sir rightly said behavioral finance itself is evolving, and neurofinance is in just in conceptual stage. So you should not expect a lot of things from me, but definitely it will ignite our minds that yes, there are opportunities, there are scope which we can explore in the field of neurofinance as well. So my screen is visible, sir?
Yes, yes.
So to start with neurofinance, I have taken this from Google, that the capacity of human brain. So earlier we used to have 6 GB, 8 GB and 100 GB, 250 GB. And now we have computers, what we use in our hand is 1 TB or 2 TB, 5 TB is maximum. Now a brain, as per information available in Google, our brain can contain 2.5 million gigabytes of information. So most of us, we are not belong to bioscience. For us, it is difficult to understand. But as a layman, if we recall when we attain the age of 110, and if we recall the information from our childhood, 7-8 years onward, mostly we are able to recall. So this indicates that a lot of memory are being stored in our mind. So you imagine today's topic of neurofinance, what can be the depth of this topic? Although we are yet to explore, even the entire gamut of research is yet to explore, but imagine what can be the depth and the scope of possible research in neurofinance. In case my computer is not visible, kindly let me know. It's so visible now. I'm just scrolling down. So to start with, in very short 1 hour time, I will try to discuss concept which is already known to many of us because already you have studied behavioral finance. Then purpose, why should we study neurofinance? And then technology and practices, and finally the scope for research. So the fourth point is the purpose of today's presentation, to ignite the minds of young researchers, to show them some direction. Why should we show them some direction? If you recall the researchers around you in social science, and even in our management and accounting and finance, you will find we are always in around some traditional topics. This is number one. Number two, whatever research we conduct, you will find these are mostly replication of some existing studies. Somebody somewhere conducted a study, so we make some extension, deletion, replication, reconfirmation, addition. But 70-80%, if I am not wrong, are simply copying of existing research. But in neurofinance, it is just a beginning. So anybody whosoever come forward and take up the challenge will be rewarded in terms of publication score, in terms of recruitment, in terms of selection, in terms of promotion. And I hope this will suffice suffice the purpose of discussing this topic today. Now, starting with concepts, neurofinance is obviously, there are two words, neuro plus finance. So neuro is neuron, nerve cells, which actually communicate between brains and external environment. Suppose when a mosquito bites somewhere, even if we are sleeping, knowing you are respond, these are because some interaction takes place through our nerve cells. And finance here, we mean here it is financial decisions. So basically, neurofinance is the role of nerve cell or the neurons in financial decision-making process. So there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points I have noted here from different sources, which are readily available in Google and YouTube as well, having similar meaning but one step further. So point number 2 is neurofinance is focused on improving the micro foundations of financial decisions. Micro foundation of financial decisions. We generally decide there are some macro foundations, how much you have, family members, your life expectancy, your living standard, earning you make. And there are some micro foundations are there, which are not visible, which are some invisible things. So this helps us to dig out some invisible micro decision-making foundations, neurofinance. Through neurofinance, we study the cognitive process. The cognitive process that are involved in the acquisition and processing of financial information. This one is the most crucial part of the definition. This one is the most crucial part of the definition. We study the cognitive process that involved in acquisition and processing of financial information. A question may obviously arise, already Ranjit sir has initiated, that what is the relationship between neurofinance and behavioral finance. We can say that neurofinance is a branch of behavioral finance. We can say that it's a specialized area of behavioral finance. We can also say this is the beginning of actually behavioral finance. So when we study behavioral finance, we study the action part of it, behavioral part of it. So if we take it in the stimuli and response kind of thing, so outer behavior we study in behavioral finance, and the inner behavior which is not visible, which is just reflecting, so that inner visible or inner behavior we try to study in neurofinance. So basically this is a process, this is the process of acquiring information and processing information. Now, depending on the level of activity, capacity, and the processing speed, and the biases, whatever it is, we acquire and we process and we give the results. In a nutshell, what is neurofinance? It is a combination of neuroscience, your economics, and psychology. All these together, we get the result of neurofinance. And in simple language, it is a relationship between physiological and neural signals in order to explain various factors that influence financial transactions. So physiological as well as neural signals, how they helps us taking a decision making. Now, a simple in behavioral finance, you will have different rational, irrational behavior and other things you will discuss. But naturally, why should human being become irrational? So these are basically neurons, the strength of neurons. They decide why they are rational or why they are not rational. So it combines these three, and finally through neurofinance, we also want to identify the kinds of information that can be processed efficiently by the human brain. Here comes the marketing part of information, marketing part of neurofinance. The marketers, they use eye movement techniques, cameras and all that, and the marketers, they decide based on that. Now similarly in neurofinance as well, while creating advertising, while creating our prospectus, developing our prospectus and communication brochures, we should be in a position to understand what information should be there, what information can be processed efficiently by the human brain. So definitely it will vary from place to place. Now, if you compare with US with India and then Delhi and our place, your place and different localities, it will be definitely different. So in due course of time, we will be in a position to decide the set of information which should be communicated to which group of investors. For example, Bloom's taxonomy we teach in learning outcomes, Bloom's taxonomy of learning outcomes. So there are levels of education. So which level should be taught at which level of students, what should be the, even the question, how the question should be designed and all that. Similarly in finance as well, we'll be in a position in due course that what message should be given to what type of population. Now what is the purpose? Number one, to understand financial brain. To understand the financial brain. I believe many of you are regular investors. I am also investors. Sanjit are also investors since last many years. What is financial brain? It is our environment that actually decides the level of activity or level of our financial brain. And this neurofinance helps us to analyze financial brain. Now, what product can be sold to me? What decision I am going to take? Now, suppose market is going to crash because of Fed increasing its rate of interest. The RBI also is planning. There are a lot of issues coming around. So different group of investors will behave differently. That will be studied in behavioral finance. But neurofinance will tell exactly who will behave to which direction. How to use and manipulate neurobiological data. Yes, this is the main theme behind neurofinance. The main theme. How to use and manipulate neurobiological data. Neurobiological data. Nowadays, you know, all the informations are stored in computer of all the labs. And if we are having access through our university or any research organization or through Government of India organizations, research organizations, if we can access to, suppose somebody has access to my neurobiological data as well as Ranjit's neurobiological data, he or she should be able to, should be in a position to give a detailed account of our financial investment, the risk-taking behavior, equity investment, fixed deposit investment, our mentality, which we are and which we are not. Suppose the student of finance, theoretically we study, the more we grow up in terms of age, our risk-taking capacity goes down. But this may not be true actually. This may not be always true. That just because I am growing in my age, it does not happen actually. So generally, it also happened that because of growing age, because of maturity, I am taking more and more risky decisions. So if we have access to such information, we can take financial decisions. And finally, obviously, the role of brain in financial decisions. So in summary, neurofinance seeks to understand why we make financial choices we do by looking at activity in different parts of the brain. Now, this one is scientifically proven statement. This statement has been proved by scientists that our brain is capable of making financial predictions even when we have no knowledge of finance. Even when we have no knowledge of finance, our brain can make financial decisions. And obviously, there are billions who have not studied in finance, who have not got the opportunity to study finance, but they are making better financial decisions, even better than with the professors and chartered accountants and CFOs. So this is the first finding of neurofinance. Our brain is capable of making financial decisions. This way, we will evolve a lot of new information, which will be helpful to the companies. What are the next is, what are the technologies and practices in neurofinance so far? There is one technology called fMRI, Functional Magnetic Resonance Imaging, fMRI. With the help of fMRI, the level of activity of brains can be recorded. Now suppose when the share prices are going up, if we are able to connect, if we are able to display a monitor in which it is reflecting the share price going up and the concerned patient is making profit. So at that time, this behavior can be recorded with the help of fMRI. Similarly, when the market is going down, the behavior can be recorded. And this way, the help of statistical tools, some exploration can be made. That suppose somebody is having neurobiological data of such and such diabetic level, what is called blood pressure level and pulse rate and other things, with such and such things, what will be the reaction, what will be the behavior in terms of financial decisions? If we are really successful in conducting research in what is called neurofinance, the companies will also be able to recruit right people for the right place. So while appointing an investment manager, while appointing a what is called finance manager, they will be able to make test and the temperament of that investment manager before recruiting. When the pilots are being trained, you have seen in media and YouTubes, they are thrown in the air to test their temperament and their capabilities and all that. The same thing can be done here. Or what can be the capacity of a manager to manage 1 crore, 5 crore, 500 crore, 1,000 crore, 5,000, 1 billion, 1 trillion, what, how much? This can also be found out with the help of neurofinance study. And EEG is very known to everyone. We have experience in our life as well. Now, whatever technology is available, the neurofinance people, what they do, these are complemented by physiological signals such as heart rate, skin conductance, eye movements, and hormones level and other things. So other informations are corroborated, cross-checked to give a decisions. So what is required? Suppose if I am a researcher, I want to conduct a study, I should be having access to at least some of the information like fMRI, EEG and other devices, plus other things, other biological information should be available with me. And all these are correlated to have a causal relationship. Now there is one more technology is called TMS, which is if you search in the Google, you will find there are some researchers, they have used this method for studying investment behavior and sale exit behavior from the investment. Okay. And also by studying patients with brain damage. Now see, these are very frequently happening. The doctors in neuro, they say if we scan the brains of people, we will find majority of us having some disorder. The level of disorder may be different, but there are some disorders are there. And especially when we grow up 60, 70, 80 and plus, we receive mild attacks, brain strokes and all that, but we don't feel, maybe because of other issues, but these are being recorded. So if we have this MRI reports and this TMS reports and all that of any XYZ, suppose an investor come to me, I am a consultant, that my father is going to retire and I want to put my money so and so. So henceforth the finance manager, they will ask for neurobiology customers, because it should not happen that the decision itself is becoming a cause for further damage to the brain. Now there is a company like neurofin.tech, you can check in the internet, it's available, neurofin.tech. They have already developed some technologies and especially softwares they have developed, this company neurofin.tech. If you search, you will find, and you see neurofinance already in use. Just now we say that it is very in the initial, just in the baby stage, but already is in use. You see the company, they have written their website. Our methodology has been applied in the process of key Swiss and international bank. So you see all the major banks are there. Credit Suisse, UBS, DC Bank, all the major banks. They are already using the neurofinance technology developed by neurofin.tech. Basically, these are software. They use the softwares developed by these companies. So what the softwares do? Suppose a device will be connected to your body to in the name of taking your temperature and all this thing, and they will record all neurobiological reports data stored in the computer software, and then there will be some questions. So when you apply for loan, when you apply for some funding for your projects, they will give you some questionnaire online, offline. And also you will be monitored. They will monitor you under some camera, changing the color of the room and creating some scenario in front of you. Or suppose you are put in a waiting room in which they play some fearful picture, fearful cinemas, or some jolly things, or the share market going up or share market going down. So they capture your face. They read your faces to read the reactions. Similarly, they will show that somebody was very clever taking the loan and escaped and went out of the country and not coming back. So they will capture your facial expression, that whether are you also planning to fly away with the money. So already it is in practice. The researchers mostly using, the technology they are mostly using is called fMRI, Functional Magnetic Resonance Imaging. ये क्या करता है? This measures small changes in blood flow that occur with brain activity. So this technology is very simply to understand. It records even a small changes in blood flow which occurs due to brain activity. If brain is processing some information, how it is being reflected in the brain. This is recorded with the help of fMRI. Okay, and obviously the functional anatomy of the brain is discussed. This is an actually extension of normal MRI. Normal MRI takes care of the healthiness of the part of the brain, which part is healthy, which part is not healthy. And this is an extension of the MRI. This also records the small changes because of the use of brain. Then it determines which part of the brain is handling critical functions, such as speech, movement, sensation, which is called brain mapping. So brain mapping has been already done by a number of researchers. We already know that which part of the brain is active, inactive, short memory, long memory, processors, everything is there in the brain. But still this device helps to further recognize the movements and sensation, what happens in your brain when you face some external situations. And obviously it helps in assessing the effects of stroke, trauma, and other issues that takes place. Brain tumors, other things also can be traced with this, and finally it provides the suggestions. So this one, fMRI, if anybody interested, you should first study the fMRI, what it is, how it functions, and if possible, if we can manage even by paying somebody or collecting data.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, rather than looking into the main part of the brain, while analyzing this neurofinance, now what I feel, our hippocampus as well as amygdala are dealing with the emotional part. So generally, this our behavior finance part will be more relation with this amygdala and hippocampus also, it seems, sir.
Yes, exactly, sir, exactly. You are right, sir.
So I think rather than looking into this part of thought as well as speech, movement, sensation and all, in addition to that, I think we have to look into amygdala as well as this hippocampus.
Right, sir. So
Sir,
the purpose of today's presentation is that this is not beyond our jurisdiction. It's not like that somebody has to be from microbiology or biotechnology. No. Even the non-science, we can use this. What we have to do, take up some reports. Even Chinese machineries are, low-cost machineries are available, and we can proceed. Now let me proceed to the next one. Now this is one small example I have taken from this company website only. When you are taking a test or enjoying a cup of coffee, certain parts of your brain are extra busy, and fMRI allows us to capture some of this activity. So now what we can do actually, the people who sits in stock market and the brokers end, so their information, their behavioral responses can be recorded and studied, and an excellent study can be made. Now, one thing I would like to share here, I think you will also agree. People who understand finance also take wrong decision, also takes fast decisions. It's not necessarily that people who understand finance, they will make analysis and they will follow a process and they will purchase something. No, it does not happen normally. Even people who teach finance, they also fall prey to external forces. So this thing also can be studied. So this is just an example, picturization of the concept. There are other technologies which are also being used in neurofinance. Now here you see, what is happening there. A glass micropipette is inserted into the membrane of a single cell. and things are happening. So these developments are already taking place outside India, which can be copied, which can be followed here in our country as well in researchers. The next one, a deep brain stimulator. A deep brain stimulator. So by using brain stimulator as well, can the financial behavior be changed? Or suppose these techniques are being used initially at a young age, can we change the financial behavior? Government of India has come up with a number of schemes, and especially the Investor Education and Protection Fund has been created. Ministry of Corporate Affairs has been given the responsibility of propagating investor awareness, financial education. Despite all that, why we are not coming up? We are becoming educated regarding financial investments? Why the investments are not growing up? So these things can also be studied with the help of neurofinance. Is there anything related to neurons or neural behavior that actually become hindrance to our financial decisions? आप देखेंगे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप क्लास बहुत होता है, बहुत लोग प्रोग्राम अटेंड करते हैं, बट एंटरप्रेन्योर होते नहीं, बनते नहीं है. सिमिलरली इन फाइनेंस ऑल्सो इतना अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम होता है, बट कोई फाइनल इन्वेस्टमेंट करने आता नहीं है. तो इसका मतलब कुछ ना कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, समथिंग इज हैपनिंग. And therefore, it may happen sometimes later that some health things will come up that yes, if you take this, your financial decision making ability will be enhanced by taking those health drinks as well. Now, this is another example. This one is a little latest. It's being used by TDCS method. And this is one picture from taken the company for brain stimulations that centers on modulating behavioral and cognitive process. So brain stimulation process, with the help of stimulation process, can we change the financial decision making process? If you see the government sector employees, they have a reserve category of financial behavior. They only rely on fixed deposits, non-equity kind of deposits. But the same group who do not rely equity investment, they fall prey to non-banking finance companies, which are sometimes become more prone to high risk, even 100% risk. They become more prone to this. So what are those biological or neurological factors which causes this thing that can be studied? Then another technology is focused ultrasound that is also used for manipulating neurons. You see if it is visible to you. So focused ultrasound techniques can be applied to manipulate neurons. So neurons can be manipulated. Neurons can be manipulated. It's true. Neurons can be manipulated, is true. Now just recall, suppose after I pass my MBA and if I get a job in banking sector, if I get a job in share market brokers, if I get a job as a financial analyst, if I got a job in police, in teaching, in law, in literature, so it happened that my financial behavior will definitely change. Slowly and gradually it will develop. So even the confidence level also go on increasing depending on your environments. Now coming to the main topic, scope for research. As young researchers, what can we study? Now I have, with the help of different literatures, I have classified brain into some 13 types, but these are not well categorized. They are overlapping. They are not scientifically proven categories. But for our research, we can proceed with such kind of topics. active and lazy brain. Is there concept of active brain and lazy brain? Is there a relationship between investment decision, financial decision, with brain becoming active and lazy? And how will you decide whether brain is lazy or not lazy, active or not active? Brains are always active. If brains are not active, we will die. But in a behavioral aspect, in the behavioral finance aspect, whether somebody, can we classify the investors or the people into active group and the lazy group? Then risk taking and risk aversion. Now, can we categorize based on biological information, neurobiological information, our population in the study? Can we categorize them into directly that they are risk-taking group and they are not risk-taking group? So a study can be made in this direction with the help of blood pressure level is already being tested. Blood pressure, pulse rate, and are already being studied. There are some relationship between your blood pressure level and if you are diabetic, non-diabetic, if you have thyroid, non-thyroid, if you have other non-curable disease in your family, genetic problems in your family. So these things are already being studied by some researchers. And we can take up also this thing. Chaotic and peaceful brain. Brains, brain cannot be chaotic and brain cannot be peaceful. A brain which is active is chaotic actually. If you use your brain, if you are a financial analyst, so obviously your brain will be at the time of, it's just like a computer memory, so it can be chaotic and it can be peaceful. Now, when the brain is chaotic and when the brain is peaceful, does it impact our financial decisions? Does it impact our financial decisions? Similarly, leading and following. There are some brains, they think they are born leaders, they do not follow. And there are some brains they follow. So leading brains, they will not follow the financial consultants. They will not follow what is happening. They will try to go against the tide. So they will not follow what is happening in the market, what is read out in the news stories and all that. So leading brain and following brain. Now suppose if you approach someone who is having a leading kind of brain, if you approach and you give a consultancy and this, that, it may not work. It may not work. You cannot be able to sell your products. But there are following brains. Suppose I am a following brain. Before I make investment decisions, I talk to Ranjit sir, I talk to other teachers in US and other places, India and Delhi, and my bosses with whom I work. So I have a following brain. I don't want to lead. I don't want to go against the tide. But yes, I go against the tide sometimes, not always. Then, yes, numerical and non-numerical brain. This is the established category of brain. Already a number of research available in NCBI and other Science Direct and other publishers. Numerical and non-numerical brain. So by studying behavioral finance, by studying my behavior, first of all, can you as a researcher classify me whether I am a numerical brain holder category or non-numerical brain category? Now, who will be your target customers, numerical or non-numerical? Suppose for a LIC product, so obviously non-numerical will be the ultimate target of LIC, the insurance products. Now, for numerical, it may be equity investments group, maybe the numerical group. So can we classify them into numerical and non-numerical, and how to relate and how to conduct study? Any of the topic, if you pick up and search in the Google, you will find at least few articles are already there. One or two articles are already there. Emotional brain and logical brain. This is entire behavioral finance is dependent on this one, emotional and logical, rational, irrational, all these things are there. But in neurofinance, what addition we is to make here, you say that no, you classify the brains. You classify the groups under study. whether they are emotional or logical based on neurobiological information. It's not that the behavior only, it is plus behavior plus study has to be done. Fearful and
sir, may I interrupt once?
Yes, sir, please.
When we call this neurobiological information, what does it mean actually? Brain waves or what?
No.
Number of neurons and all?
The brain waves are neurons and related information. Biological is all other things like your blood pressure, your skin sensation, your diabetic, non-diabetic, your thyroid, non-thyroid, your genetically you have some problem, you married in close relations, not relations. So all these will come in the biological informations, which are in general
So
taken.
how will we assessing whether it is a mathematical or non-mathematical brain?
Yes, sir.
How we assess between mathematical and non-mathematical?
Numerical and non-numerical. Numerical, sorry, I correct you.
numerical or
Numerical and non-numerical. There are established questionnaires are available. Those who test IQ, those who
okay, yeah.
Those who test IQ, so you can use the IQ questionnaires. Those who test IQ level, they have already developed numerical and non-numerical kind of IQ questionnaire. So we can use that one.
But
yes, sir.
okay, sir. I will ask at the end of the session, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. I am not an expert, sir. I am not an expert.
Nothing as such, sir. Actually, myself is a PhD student in psychology. So I am very curious in this field which you are teaching right now. No? I'm very much interested. So that's why my questions are arising in between. So sorry for interrupting. I will ask at the end of this session. Thank you.
Thank you. These are based on what is available literature, what is happening from different books and other materials. So, yeah. Numerical, which were we there? Yeah. Fearful, greedy. Yes. Now here there is a confusion. Fearful and greedy brain. Greedy, we say it lalchi. So if we can identify whether the person is greedy kind of person, so accordingly we can change our financial policy, investment policy, loan giving policy, business partnering policy, or recruiting somebody. We'll say similarly, fearful versus strong brain. So there is overlapping. Strong brain. What is the meaning of strong brain? It is intelligent brain. It is logical brain. So what is strong? Someone who can sustain the waves. So obviously, if we use fMRI and if you read this one, you will find maybe in my brain you will find it's a fearful brain. I respond faster. Okay. Then again, young brain and aged brain. There is scientifically proven study available that there is difference in decision making depending on young brain and aged brain. Already the risk behavior in finance is already based on this theory, that the more you grow up, you lose the risk taking behavior. So young brain and aged brain, does it make a difference in the financial or investment decision? So what we can do, we can approach the young people with some ideas. We can record their eye movement, their facial movement, and their reactions and their actions, whether they sign, whether they pay money, and how they behave. And then also we can find out some relation. Hyper and non-hyper, these are cross actually. These two are cross. These two, if it is visible, hyper, non-hyper, reactive and non-reactive. So if you see the classification of our brain, you will find our brain already there is one part which is reactive part and one part which is hyper part. So reactive and hyper is very close things, but there is difference. So hyper brain and non-hyper brain. Now somebody with a hyper brain, suppose I am looking for a business partner with, he should invest 2 crores and I will invest 2 crores and I'll start a school or college. So I'm a finance student, so I should first check whether he or she is a hyper brain or reactive brain. Reactive or non-reactive. So that has to be studied. And there is ample opportunity in this field to study. Intelligent brain and dull brain. We know there is a term called idiots, means who was inborn dull. Almighty has not given intellect compared to others. So in the IQ, with the help of IQ questionnaires also, intelligent and dull can be checked. Reactive, non-reactive can be checked. Hyper, non-hyper can be checked. And there are, for hyper, non-hyper, your intelligent, non-intelligent already scientific tools are there, which is available in India everywhere. You can use that one also. Now the last one is the composition of all above. Last one is the composition of all above. Smart brain and less smart brain, lesser smart brain. One is smart brain, other is lesser smart brain. Smart brain, lesser smart brain. So smart, here the definition of smart is connected brain. Connected and not connected. So whether the brain of a particular individual is connected, whether he/she can connect all information which is acquired, all parts of the brain is coming, working or not working, the temporary memory, processing memory, long-term memory. So here connected meanings whether my memory will be able to dig out information which was stored 10 years, 30 years, 40 years back. Now suppose I give the example of Ranjit sir. If you ask him even now anything about what's happened in share market, everything, he will immediately recall every information, which will not happen in my case. So in his case, he is an intelligent brain, which is actually smart brain, which is actually connected brain. So while dealing with customers, while dealing with investors, you have to check whether the smart brain, less smart brain, intelligent brain, dull brain. So you see, I have mentioned here based on review of literature 13 different way of classification of brain, and 13 papers can be written based on this. Minimum can be written based on this one. Then, what are the research going on? What are the research going on in, so with the help of Mendeley's, with the help of Web of Science, with the help of academia and other sources, I have gone through a number of articles and magazines and found out that there are some special focus. There are some focus areas in which research is going on. And this proves that neurofinance still is in very nascent stage. It's very beginning stage. It's very beginning stage. So you will find number of articles around concepts and overview. What can we learn from neurofinance? There is an article written published in Seed Journal. The New Era of Finance, Neurofinance and Investment Behavior. These are published in high class journals. It's just beginning because Neurofinance Concept and Overview, written by in the editorial page of top class publisher, globally known publisher. Neurofinance is a systematic review about a new way to looking the financial decision making. So these are basically, so one group is concepts and overview. Still there is scope for writing article in terms of concepts and overview. We can write article in terms of concepts and overview. The next one is there is ample opportunity for review of literature. Just you take out for what are the articles available. These are the list of articles, and you make a review, and one article can be published. Then comes recent developments. Analysis of recent developments in neurofinancing, what is happening now in and around neurofinance, in concept, in practices, in books, what is happening that can be studied. Then another category is traits and behavior. Traits and behavior, connection of traits and behavior with neuron and neurological behavior. So this is the main theme of the actually neurofinance, traits and behavior. Now, but this is the most important as well. If you are able to scientifically justify, authenticate or prove or establish that this behavior signifies this neurons, or this behavior means these neurons are there, or this behavior is there, interconnectivity, then it will be an everlasting paper which can be published with excellent impact factor. Then financial planning, applying neuroscience on financial planning and framework for review, a number of articles in this area. And this is the main again, role of neurofinance on financial decisions. So there are different techniques are being used to study the neurofinance, and does it how does it affect your financial decision? Is there any correlation between these two? Mediation and moderation techniques are also used. Mediating rule and moderating rules are also studied. So there are many ways out to study this thing. Next come investment decisions. Investment decision here specifically meaning entry and exit. In case of investment, it is how neurofinance impact in your entry decision and exit decision in case of investments. When you enter, when you exit. Now very simply, there is an established study regarding neurofinance is when and how you exit from the market. Suppose the market is going down. What type of neurological categorical people will exit at what price? कुछ लोग होते हैं कि मुझे 100% प्रॉफिट चाहिए. Some लोग, there are some people who encash 5% satisfy and then exit. There are people who encash minus 5% loss, 5% loss and they exit. So if they are exiting at certain level of percentage of profit or loss, or if they are holding, which are not supposed to be hold, how they are related to their neurons? What behaviors actually decide these decisions? Stock market, obviously, there are articles there. Greed versus fear. Greed versus fear. You see, somebody has studied news and markets, the 2008 crisis, from a neurofinance perspective. Neurofinance perspective. Greed versus fear. Was there any factor called neurofinance which caused or which fueled the growing crisis of 2008? If so, can we manipulate this thing? If this thing can be manipulated or not manipulated? And then this one is very easy to. This one is very easy to for. Abu in class, please don't disturb. Yeah. This one is very easy, sir, to use. Eye tracking. So eye tracking cameras, hidden, visible, can be purchased. Chinese cameras are available, and you can, while interacting with your clients or your sample respondents, you can use these cameras. Eye tracking and behavioral economics and finance. Eye tracking and behavioral economics and finance. So there are multiple articles with the similar headings. So I have copied and I have deleted all similar headings. Multiple topics are there. This can be used and can be related. Now suppose somebody has made a loss in last 2008 financial crisis, then 2001 bubbles, and subsequently in other cases, 1998 and other times, even today. So when you discuss, when you recall the past loss incidents, how they behave, how they react, facial expression, eye movement, this can be recorded and a study can be done. Then using fMRI, there are some number of studies available. Brain and finance. So in brain and finance, you are open to study anything. Your purpose is to relate brain and the financial decisions. So number of study conducted in this way. And then risk return, and there is also study available gender and age group wise. So this is all about from my part. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Yes, sir. Ranjit, sir. Ranjit, sir, are you there?
Yes, sir. So, is it over, sir?
So I tried to motivate